And welcome to another episode of Primetime Makeover. I am Michelle Akins, along with my three amazing co-hosts, therapist Lysandra Lester, my friend, life coach Melissa Jackson, and over there, whom I can't reach, is Sheila Hopkins, our stylist and voice of wisdom, so that we don't make ourselves look bad outside. And so, as we come into February, I want to ask you to do something, and even our panel. Let's take a minute and just breathe. Let's just take a deep breath in. Blow it out through your mouth. And breathe. Now why? Because we have gone from holidays to New Year's to all of the resolutions and all of the plans, and work started off, and there's the starter pistol, and everything is going on in the world, and we don't even know what's going on in your house. The point is, we are now in February, and many of us haven't even taken a breath. So I want to encourage you to take a breath, because today we're going to talk about, in this month of love, how you love yourself. I'm not talking about how you shop and the clothes that you buy. I'm not talking about how you go out to make yourself feel better when you're down. I am talking about the everyday practices that you demonstrate toward you and how you love yourself. So, to my illustrious panel, we're going to talk about self-love today. And you know, these are always dialogues. This is just not a monologue. And so we're going to talk about it. And I'm going to put a question out there. And do you love yourself? Why is Lysandra looking straight ahead like that? Because I'm waiting for the answers.
She's pondering.
I am waiting for the answers. Okay, so I like to ask a follow-up question, right? Okay. Do you love yourself, and what does loving yourself look like?
Yeah, that's the
right.
That's good,
right?
Too.
Mm-hmm. Because if you ask a typical person, do you love yourself? Sure, right? Okay, but how does loving yourself look? How do you show up when you're loving yourself? So that's a deeper question, I think. It really is. I think a deeper question. And so for me personally, I've had to learn to love myself. I've had to learn to love myself, because culturally speaking, we learn to love others before we learn to love ourselves.
Yes.
We're taught to love others. We're taught to, care about everybody else's needs and desires before we're taught to love ourselves. So I've had to learn. And it was a beautiful lesson to learn to love myself. Being intentional, taking care of myself, creating healthy boundaries, learning to accept and to reject things that don't serve me, whether they're people, places, things, positions, whatever they are.
I love it.
Learning to love that and saying yes to me more than saying no to me.
Saying yes to me. Because I expected everybody to say, yes, I love myself.
Right.
And then I was going to say, well, how do you know?
Yeah.
Because this whole idea of saying yes to me, in our first episode, we talked about Sister Johnson. Sister Johnson, yes.
We love her.
Come on,
We
take
love
a
her.
seat, Sister
love
Johnson. Welcome back. Because Sister Johnson was taught to take care of everybody else. In fact, though, and it's interesting, Scripture even says that we're to love our neighbors.
That's it.
As we love ourselves.
As we love ourselves.
And some of us got it backwards. If you don't love yourself, what kind of love are you actually giving to your neighbor?
Yes.
Now, thank you for starting us off with a bang, as you usually do. I saw her looking straight ahead. I was like, okay.
She ready.
Okay. But she said, saying yes to me more than I say no to me. How do you know you're loving yourself, Melissa?
I think for me, when I heard Lysandra say that, I was like, her thoughts was going everywhere, because when I was previously married before my late husband transitioned, I felt myself learning or thinking I'm loving myself based on my obligations, on what I was doing and what they were giving me back. And the kids were like, "Oh, mommy, I love you." Husband say, "Oh, I love you." So you like, okay, if they loving me, I'm loving myself. Sounds crazy, but sometimes we value our love based on how others see us. And then after that happened and he graduated and he transitioned, I started really understanding that I wasn't really loving myself as I should, because I saw also how others were beginning to treat me. Because once some things, as LaShawn just say, are removed, you get to see more of a visual of what you really are and what you're really doing. And so I wasn't really valuing myself, which is what I feel self-love is. Mm-hmm. How you value yourself, how you allow others to treat you. And the moment I started saying no more than I was saying yes, I started realizing, oh, okay, some people will be disturbed and disappointed, but at the end of it, when I walked away, I felt at peace. Before, I would say no, and then I would drive home and have all these thoughts like, Melissa, you should have said no. You shouldn't have went. You should have just said you didn't want to go to the party. And then when I started saying no and literally speaking up for myself, then I really started having the peace that I know that I deserved. And then some things just became lighter. I didn't feel like I was carrying a weight. And sometimes when you don't really have self-love, it could be a weight. And I started learning how to lose the weight. And sometimes I would say most times it was about saying no and being okay with that and not feeling bad about it, or not feeling like, oh, I had to say this so I can keep the relationship or keep the friendship. So that was a big thing for me, and it's been working, and I love it. Gonna have to disappoint some folks, but at the end of the day, if you're walking away from the situation and you don't feel at peace, then that means you're putting others more than you're putting yourself as a priority. So it's necessary.
Yeah, and when we consider that saying no to other people and the expectations that are attached to it, because like Sister Johnson, we all want to at times make other people happy. We want to be good girls because we were raised to be good girls.
Yes.
Sheila.
So,
Yes.
when I was a little girl, I'm one of 5 girls. We had no brothers. It was just me and my 4 sisters. My daddy set us down and he spoke life into us. He said, you are beautiful. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not. You're worthy. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not worthy. My daddy spoke life into us. And I believed my daddy. I believed him. And so I walked around with this, yes, I'm beautiful. Yes, I'm cute. Yes, I'm worthy kind of attitude. But it became puffed up. It became, I'm better than everybody else. I'm cuter than everybody else. And I wore that. And then when you go out into the world, people say, no, you're not. In so many words, how you get treated or whatever. And so I had to think about that. I'm like, well, maybe I'm not. It went like complete up. Maybe I'm not so cute. Maybe I'm not so worthy. Maybe I'm not, because the world can be mean, as you know. And so I had to examine myself, and I was brought low, meaning humble. Being out in the world and hearing those things made me more humble. It made me realize, yes, you are beautiful. Yes, you are worthy. But everybody else is too. You're not the only one. And so that's my experience with self-love. I did love myself, but I didn't love nobody else. I was the it. I was it.
You were the it.
I was Miss Thing.
Before.
The one.
So, and so what I've learned, though, is we can all be beautiful. We all are beautiful. We all are worthy. I had to learn that, though, based on my daddy telling us that we were all, he made us really feel like we were. And I didn't have a reference point. I didn't know anything else. I just knew in my household with my 4 sisters, we were the birthday party, we were the fun, we were the playmates. And so that's what we knew in our household, that you were beautiful and you were worthy. He never told us everybody else can be that way too. He just told us that we were. And so that was my experience with self-love. I think I loved myself. I don't want to say too much, but I loved me and I didn't look out at the love that I should have for everybody else. But that has since changed because I absolutely adore and love people. As you know, everybody gets grace from me.
Yes.
Everybody is extended grace.
Everybody.
Everybody gets grace. But that was a learned experience.
Sure.
I had to learn that. And so I just wanted to be real about that and talk about how self-love can affect you in different ways.
Yeah, that's good.
And I really like that. You said, my father told us that.
He did.
He didn't tell us that about everybody else. Well, that wasn't his job. His job was to
make
sure that his daughters had appropriately healthy self-esteem. And when I think about self-love, like you, Melissa, and even saying yes to me, I think about those things because as somebody who grew up with a performance mentality, you made the good grades because you got awards and you felt loved, and that is what you equated love with performance. And so there was a time a few years ago when I might have told you all about this. I had a headache, my blood pressure was skyrocketing and doing stuff. And I'm like, what is going on? And I decided to stay home from church and sit with God and say, what is happening with me? And the Lord asked me, where are your conflicts? And I started to look at relationships. There was somebody that wanted me in my business to pay them a certain way. It violated my principles of integrity. Conflict. There was another person who was just very draining and difficult to be around.
Oh my.
But out of obligation, because they needed somebody to talk to. I kept showing up for that. Well, I don't know who said it. It's a saying. When the mind is afflicted, the body responds.
Yes.
I don't know who said that. But in that case, my body was responding. And so one by one, I started to deal with the conflicts that I was having. Because those conflicts were interfering with who I am supposed to be to me. To me. And so now, when I am overwhelmed, I stop. Because performers don't stop.
Yes.
Until they learn that this is not the way to do it. And so when I find myself overwhelmed, I stop. I consider, okay, what is going on? I sit with myself. I've established a practice now. Mondays are for listening. I don't talk to anybody on Mondays.
Me too.
I don't talk to anybody on Mondays. I listen for what God is saying. I listen to voices that I consider prophetic. I read. I listen for understanding and for direction.
Yeah,
but I've set aside a day for listening because the noise of the world and honestly, the stuff that's going on in everybody's life, loving myself is turning the off switch on some of that.
That's really good.
Yep.
That's really good.
And that is so good. And I think sometimes we feel that is so good. Woo! Because I think sometimes we feel bad or like we're not good people when we have to turn the switch off on other people. Right? It's like we feel bad when we have to be selfish, but I feel that's what self-love is about too. It's being selfish and owning the moment and knowing what you deserve and being willing to do what's necessary, right? It's like having that designated time, as you said, to say, no, I'm not doing this. Like after a certain time, my phone goes on Do Not Disturb.
That's correct.
And they know. It's like, okay, if you need to get me before these hours. And if not, send a message and I'll reply back in the morning. My office hours, right?
Come on,
because,
Big Red.
Right, Big Red. I ain't going to hang you over the bus.
But my office hours.
But I think you have to establish that. And I think we have to learn how to be selfish for ourselves.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like sometimes that's difficult for us.
But the thing is, so Monday is my day off. Monday is my day off. I have it on my husband's calendar too.
Okay.
Monday's my day off.
I
I just do whatever I want to do. If we don't take care of ourselves, how can we take care of anybody else? I learned that being a caretaker to my husband and my sister. I was burning myself out, and I'm like, I've got to have time for me. And that's when I started going to get the massages and things like that, so I could replenish myself in order to be able to take care of somebody else.
That's good.
So we have to replenish and refuel.
But self-love is not limited to the practices of our relationships, right?
Right.
Because the first thing people think when you mention self-love is, okay, I'm distancing myself from relationships,
Right.
or I'm, that kind of a thing. But it's also how you're feeding yourself while you're distancing yourself from these relationships. So what practices are you implementing to feed yourself? I love what you said, Michelle, about like listening, having a day of listening. Okay. That could look like a lot of different things based on what your personality is or what your needs are, what stage of life you're in. So how are you feeding yourself from what you're ingesting in your eyes and ears and all of those things to what you're ingesting in your body? Like, what does it look like? And you'll know that because your diet will change when you're not loving yourself, because you'll be seeking comfort from the food.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
So you're not loving yourself. I'm not loving myself if I have a whole sleeve of Oreo cookies, right? I'm not loving myself.
A whole sleeve.
A whole sleeve. A whole sleeve of Oreo cookies.
Is it my birthday?
So what am I feeding my mind? What am I feeding my body? What am I feeding my spirit? That's telling me how I'm loving myself. If I'm nurturing myself, if I'm put myself in spaces of personal growth, right? If I am getting that rest time, that downtime, not just to, figure out what the next is, right? But there doesn't have to be a next right now. I'm taking that time to focus on me and feeding me. We don't get enough rest. We don't, and I'm talking not just sleep. That's a big one, but we don't get enough rest, right? How am I resting my body? How am I resting my mind? And we're living an anxiety-prone society. Like your mind is always racing. I can't talk about how many clients are like, my mind just won't shut off. You can shut it off. You can shut it off, and that's a way of showing yourself love and loving who you are, the essence of who you are. Being able to radically accept your strengths, your weaknesses, your flaws, all of those things, like loving that scar on your knee that you got, when you were 6 years old, loving that, because that's when I was in a space where, I got a bunch of them, because I was loving myself at 6. I was outside playing and doing and didn't have a care in the world.
Right.
You got sweet. Mama go put a Band-Aid on it and go back outside and play. Go back outside and play. So loving those scars, loving the little pockets of fat here, loving those things. Now, if you want to do something about it, do it because you want to, but not because you don't love yourself with it. Right? How are you nourishing yourself? How are you radically accepting yourself? How do you accept the fact that you're not an extrovert, you're an introvert, right? Feeling like you need to be an extrovert because all of these people love your introverted self. Love the fact that you need to disconnect from people. Love the fact that your social battery always needs recharging, right? That's what I'm talking about. Like, how are you nourishing and accepting yourself as well? Not just relationally, but that relationship with yourself.
With yourself.
All of it, managing all of it.
And I think that comes with being mature, being a mature woman. You realize who you are and you accept yourself for being that introvert, or in my case, the extrovert who always wants to be around people.
Oh my God.
Always want to be outside. Always want to be doing something. But with that also comes a tiredness, because I'm always running. I always want to go visit my sister. I want to go here. I want to go there. And over the last couple of weeks when it was really cold and snowy, I didn't get out of my pajamas for a few days. It was wonderful. I didn't know I could do that. But I really, really enjoyed just being with myself. Some days I did nothing. Some days I read. Some days I watched TV. But I did what made me feel good. So I think that's self-love too.
It is. It is.
That's a lesson I learned during COVID.
That's when I got the self-love.
I know. Well, COVID, it was so bad. Let me tell you what made it work for me.
Yes.
I learned that I could be in the house that I could
Yeah.
buy. I have a whole closet full of really nice pajamas, and I could take
them
a
on
shower
and
and
feel
put
good
them
about
on, and do what I needed to do, and be with myself, and not have to do the whole rat race thing. COVID taught me that,
Yes.
and y'all trying to drag me back, but I'm not coming.
She's not going.
Not gonna do it.
That whole thing about accepting being an introvert, I am.
Yeah.
And it's really not about, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's really not about, do you like people, don't you like people? That's not what
No,
it's
it's
about. It's about how you re-energize when you train. Well, how does your energy come?
What does it need?
Mine
Yeah, what do you
comes
draw?
with a book at home, some music. I have vinyl. I have a record player.
Oh yes.
Yes.
Oh
And
yes.
so these are the things that I have learned to do for me. But you use the word radical. And I'm going to ask you this, life coach, because for some of us to take care of ourselves feels radical. It feels like, oh, I can't do that. How do we confront being so radicalized that we can't take care of ourselves?
Yeah, I think you have to first understand, I think going back to what LaShawn just said too, you have to understand what you need, because what you need may not look like what everybody else may need. And I think a lot of times we feel so radical in how we do it because we're always trying to compare according to the culture, according to our relationships, according to what we see other people, what they have done. And at the end of the matter, it's a simple question, like, how do you value yourself? Mentally, physically, emotionally, even spiritually, because a lot of times the radical can come because you haven't understood what love is and how it works for you, because it may not work the same for everybody else or those that you are attached to. And I think too, one thing that made me think about when we were talking about self-love is it's important that you understand how to value yourself, because when you're not healed, then you start attracting things that are not healed. You start trying to love based on what you need to be healed from. So going back to what our therapist said, in order for you to do this, you have to practice. These are targets, these are goals, and you have to make an intention to do this as much or daily if you can, because that's the only way you'll see results. So it doesn't have to look crazy or feel crazy. Take your time. Take your time and be honest with yourself and what it takes for you to get to the next point. Not to the end of the line, but just to the next point and how you value and love yourself.
Wow. Take your time,
Take
is
your
what
time.
she said. And so that might start out with, I like music. Maybe you haven't listened to your music
Yeah.
in a long time.
Put on
Blow the
record.
dust off those records.
Right.
Put the CD in.
record
Look,
on.
you don't look.
The
I know
CD.
some of you all still got CD players.
CD
Put
player.
it playing. I heard somebody's trying to bring them back. I was like, okay, all right. But find your music if that
Yeah.
is what you like.
Yeah.
And I also believe it's really important to find your quiet. Because
Yes.
if we're not, sometimes we don't even know
Your still
what we're
place.
thinking about ourselves. We're just being inundated with all of this other stuff. And I think about Psalm 23. Yeah, I'm not going to get too preachy. But he said, he makes me to lie down in green pastures. Lie down.
Go to bed.
Rest.
Release.
Go to bed.
Yes.
There is a book called The Rhythm of Life.
Go to sleep.
Go to bed. Huh? But in The Rhythm of Life, the author's premise is you cannot have a balanced life if 4 things aren't in place: work, play, rest, and worship. Rest is different from sleep.
Yeah.
Rest is when your mind can be free.
That's true.
Just to, like people who say they can't stop their mind, rest is when your mind rests. God rested on the 7th day. But play, and this is what really got me. No, we don't play tag and stuff like this, although we could if we wanted to. But play is that thing that rekindles childlike joy in you, according to this author. Some of us we're not doing anything joyful.
Yes.
How are you loving yourself and you don't have any fun?
So serious.
Oh my goodness.
So serious.
And you loving your neighbor like you love yourself.
Right.
You're making their life miserable too. Yeah, right. All right. Excuse me. I digress. Woo, come on back.
That's true though.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
very
Work,
true.
play, rest,
Everything
and
is
worship.
so
And you know
serious.
what? We are going to worship something. Some of us are worshiping our jobs, or worshiping our
That's
right.
looks, our intelligence,
Yeah.
but that is how we're formed. So work, play, rest, and worship. You're going to find something. Worship something outside of yourself. I offer you God through Jesus Christ, but worship is a part
Yes.
of how humans were constructed. So you're going to find something to worship. And finally, work. Work was not meant to be drudgery. You're supposed to do stuff you love, aren't you, Lysandra? Because then we're good at it.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of
yeah.
us, again, loving people like we love ourselves on our jobs.
Oh my goodness.
Because we're not doing
folks.
work that satisfies us. Because we have not loved ourselves enough to pursue what is best
Yes.
for you.
That's right.
Yes.
I know Mama and Big Mama and all of them said you were going to be such and such. But you know what? Maybe that's not who you are. The
Yes.
first step to loving yourself, as we're talking about this month of love
Identity.
and Valentine's,
Yes.
start with yourself. And one of the most difficult questions to ask yourself, what do you want? What do you want? Identify what you want. And you know what? It may take some time. Do some
Yeah.
journaling.
Yeah.
Do some praying.
Just go
But
get it.
get to
Yeah.
what it is that I
Don't
want.
get stagnant.
Move everybody
Yes.
else's expectations. And in order to love yourself, figure out what that means. What that means. Okay?
What do you want?
What do you
What
want?
do you want?
What do you want? What you looking at me like that for?
I'm just looking at because the permission to play.
Yes.
The permission to play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
I like play.
permission
The
to play.
permission to play.
Yes.
We think that once we arrive at a certain age or certain stage of life that we put play away.
And spirituality.
Right.
Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Can't
Don't-
play
don't
anymore.
start.
Can't play no
Can't do
more.
that.
We don't play.
My
We don't
elder
play.
so-and-so.
I'm too deep in this.
I don't play.
Elder cannot
You know,
play.
I have a funny story about that. I had a teacher when I was in a gifted program when I was in elementary school, and he would always say, "I laugh and I joke, but I do not play." That is what I'll never forget
You'll
that. I was
never
probably
forget.
about 9 or 10 years old.
See
He's like,
that?
"I laugh and I joke, but I do not play," and that stuck with me. That stuck with me. We have permission to play. And what your play looks like might change. It might be different, from now. But even if it weren't, and I love the fact that because God is so intentional, he keeps giving us babies so we don't forget.
Yeah.
So we don't forget how to play.
Yeah.
How to
Yeah.
play.
That's right.
Yeah.
And keep creating moments so we can understand how to balance, right? How to know how to have this, but also find joy in it, right? So, I think that is so essential. Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Don't get me started, because innovation is tied to our ability to play.
yes.
Yes.
If you look at a child and you give them a toy, fancy toy in a big box for
They'll
Christmas,
create a moment.
they'll play with the toy for a couple of hours, and the next thing you know, they're driving around in the box.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
car.
Yes.
It's a house.
That's right.
It's all of
My
that.
daughter did it.
That is that is what innovation comes from. And so some of us have things that God has entrusted into our hands, but we can't get to it because we're too uptight and we haven't
Yes.
made peace with who God made in you.
Yes.
So, love God, yes, but learn how to love yourself by finding out what you want, saying no. I heard somebody say boundaries.
Take your time.
Somebody said accepting yourself, getting to all of that. And before we can talk about loving spouses or loving friends or we got to talk about how easy it is to love yourself. So, there's your food for thought today. As our producer reminds us, we have once again fractured the time, but we love you and we love ourselves.
Yes.
See you next time on another episode of Primetime Makeover. You are loved.
Yes. We love you.
Love you.